This is Barry Zalma speaking for Claim School Incorporated about the July 15, 2022 issue of Zalma's insurance fraud letter, where, as it's grown in the last 2 weeks because the courts are back convicting fraudsters. Read about those convictions in this issue of Zalma's insurance fraud letter, where you will read about how Greg Lindberg got a new trial after being convicted for insurance fraud. Greg E. Lindberg and John D. were convicted of honest services fraud and federal funds bribery in connection with a series of payments and offers of payment in the form of campaign contributions made to Mike Causey, the elected insurance commissioner for North Carolina. The jury found that these payments were made in exchange for Causey assigning a different deputy commissioner to oversee the affairs of Lindbergh's insurance companies. In United States of America versus Greg E. Lindberg, the United States Court of Appeal for the Fourth Circuit on June 29, 2022, granted a new trial. Then you can read about how criminal lawyers should be disbarred in a digest of a case called In the Matter of Neil Meredith Pomper, an attorney and counselor at law, where the Supreme Court of New York Second Department on June 29, 2022, did not disbar Mr. Pomper, but rather suspended him. Next, you can read about chutzpah, how a defendant admitted to fraud, admitted to claims fraud, and that there was a claims fraud exclusion, but claimed it was ambiguous and therefore he should be paid. Chutzpah is a Yiddish term meaning unmitigated gall, where, for example, a defendant convicted of murdering his parents asks for clemency because he's an orphan. Kevin Muir made a claim for underinsured motorist benefits after being injured in an auto accident that fit the definition of chutzpah. His insurance company denied the claim because Muir had admittedly previously made fraudulent statements in an effort to obtain personal injury protection benefits related to the same accident and was convicted of a crime related to the claim. Although the policy, like all insurance policies, excluded claims related to fraud, Muir still sued the insurance company after it denied his claim. The insurer filed a motion for summary judgment, and the district court dismissed Muir's claim. And in Kevin Muir v. Cincinnati Insurance, the Court of Appeals of Utah on June 24, 2022, found the fraud exclusion was clear and ambiguous and dismissed his lawsuit. Then you can read about good news from the Coalition Against Insurance Fraud, where the coalition reports multiple convictions for insurance fraud across the United States, including how a Land Rover and a Porsche piled up in Tanya Parrish's Grant's garage after she falsely billed Medicare more than $50 million for back braces and other rehab equipment. The Raleigh, North Carolina woman included 422 dead people in her bills. She paid firms in India and Pakistan to give her lists of Medicare patient names and personal identifiers. The list came from an overseas call centers that contacted Medicare patients to ask if they needed equipment. Grant's firms, Carolina Rehab Produce and Atlantic Brace, then billed Medicare. She charged Medicare without physician orders and without shipping products. Even when patients received equipment in the mail and returned the equipment, Grant didn't reimburse Medicare for the stuff. When audited by Medicare contractors, Grant forged physician orders if no orders existed in her files. She used the money to buy a home near Raleigh, a townhome in Fort Lauderdale, a Porsche, and several Land Rovers. She also amassed more than $1 million in cash and investments. Grant pled guilty and will spend up to 10 years in prison when sentenced later this year. There's also an article about how a rapper, Nuke Bizzle, pleaded guilty to $1.2 million COVID fraud because he bragged in a YouTube music video about getting rich by ripping off the COVID relief program. The rapper, whose real name is Fontrell Antonio Baines, 33, agreed to plead guilty to federal fraud and firearms charges after his obvious admission on the YouTube video. Then the articles follow with many health insurance fraud convictions, including one where a jury convicted Dr. Harold Bendelstein, 71, of Queens, New York, by a federal jury for defrauding Medicare and Medicaid by causing the submission of false and fraudulent claims for surgical procedures that were not done. You can also read about the Excellence in Claims Handling program that's available at Zalma on Insurance at locals.com, which will assist you in creating a staff of professional claims handlers. In addition to the free materials placed at locals.com, which are basically the blog postings, for a paid subscription of only $5 a month or $50 a year, to Zalma on Insurance at locals.com, you or your staff of claims personnel can receive important, more detailed, and informative information needed by everyone interested in insurance claims, insurance law, or insurance fraud. Each video runs from 5 to 20 minutes and can be viewed by each claims person with their first cup of coffee or glass of orange juice once or multiple times if desired. Then we have an article on why another Florida insurer is in financial trouble. Florida's capacity insurance gets downgraded and stops writing new business because AM Best withdrew its financial strength rating for the Sunrise, Florida-based capacity insurance, and the company stopped writing business, making it even harder for people in Florida to get homeowners policies that would cover hurricanes. Then we have a list of other insurance fraud convictions other than health insurance, including a story about Anthony Onika Okeke, who tricked Allianz Insurance and QBE Insurance into paying insurance claims for 4 vehicles after he staged or fabricated a series of crashes. Okeke is a man linked to a defunct Queensland's Australia tech support business and was found guilty of defrauding insurance companies of more than $40,000 and trying to dishonestly get more than $30,000. Those being, of course, Australian dollars. Then you can read about true crime stories of insurance fraud, which now has over 81 videos of true crime stories at rumble.com/Zalma and on YouTube. Finally, you can read about me and my publications, not just Zalma's insurance fraud letter, but my multiple books available at the Insurance Claims Library and my blog postings and videos, also available at rumble.com and YouTube. Thank you for your attention.